Ever feel like there's just not enough time to learn everything you want to learn?
I feel that.
Yeah, we're all busy, right? And when it comes to boosting our productivity and well-being, we often rely on intuition, like when's the best time to buckle down and focus? When should we step away and take a break? We kind of just go with our gut.
Right, it's all guesswork.
Exactly. But what if there were actually hidden patterns backed by science that could make us way more effective?
I like where this is going.
That's what we're diving deep into today.
Yay.
The power of timing.
Timing, the win factor. Love it.
We've got a mountain of research from psychology, biology, even economics, all about how timing shapes our days and our lives.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating stuff. We're talking about the ups and downs of your energy throughout the day, the importance of taking breaks, and not just any breaks, but the right kind of breaks.
We'll explore the often overlooked power of beginnings. New day, new project, heck, even a new phase of life. How do we harness that fresh start energy? And then there's the dreaded midpoint slump. We've all been there. Motivation takes a nosedive. Oh, yeah.
What can we do to get back on track? And finally, endings. How do they shape our experiences? And what about getting in sync with others?
Teamwork makes the dream work, as they say.
Exactly. But it's not just about warm and fuzzy feelings. There's a science to it. So get ready to unlock the surprisingly profound impact of when. Let's kick things off with those hidden daily patterns. You ready?
Absolutely. Hit me with it.
So, you know how we all experience this kind of ebb and flow of energy throughout the day? Turns out there's a pretty consistent rhythm to it. Researchers developed this clever method called the Day Reconstruction Method, or DRM.
Catchy name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, people reconstruct their day moment by moment, allowing researchers to track their emotions with surprising accuracy.
So like a mood diary on steroids.
Kinda, yeah. And the research, especially focusing on women's emotional states, found this common pattern, a peak of positive emotions in the morning.
Makes sense. You're fresh. You're ready to take on the day.
Right. Then a dip in the middle of the day, that dreaded afternoon slump.
Tell me about it.
And finally, a rebound in the evening.
Interesting. So there's like a natural wave to our emotions throughout the day.
Exactly. Of course, life throws in its variations. A fun lunch with friends can boost that midday mood, while a stressful commute can bring down that evening rebound.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But the underlying peak-trough rebound pattern seems to be pretty consistent. The takeaway here is recognize these natural energy shifts and schedule your most demanding tasks for your personal peak time, even if it means shaking things up a bit.
I like that. Work with your energy, not against it.
Exactly. Now, this emotional cycle actually mirrors our cognitive abilities. It's called the dual pattern of performance. So during that morning peak, you're likely sharpest for analytical tasks, things that require laser focus and vigilance. The study mentions these Linda problems. They're logic puzzles that need step-by-step reasoning.
So like if you're crunching numbers, analyzing data, writing a report, morning's your time.
You got it.
Huh.
But here's a fascinating twist. When it comes to creativity, those moments when your mind feels less tightly controlled can actually be your secret weapon. It's called the inspiration paradox. They use this example of the coin problem. It's this riddle that plays on our assumptions. People were actually better at solving this type of insight-based problem in the afternoon.
Wait, really? During their non-optimal time?
Yep, because in the mornings, your cognitive guards are up, filtering out distractions, great for analytical tasks, but for those aha moments, you need those guards to loosen up a bit. That flash of insight is more likely to happen when your filters are relaxed, allowing you to make connections you might have missed when you were hyper-focused.
So it's like a trade-off. Morning for focus, afternoon for letting those creative juices flow.
That's a great way to put it.
Now, all this talk about morning peak, afternoon slump, what if you're just not a morning person?
Ah, yes. That brings us to chronotypes. It's basically our natural preference for being active at certain times of the day. Larks are morning people. Owls are night owls. And then there's the third bird somewhere in between.
So like a biological clock, but for your energy levels.
Exactly. And you can actually figure out your own chronotype pretty easily.
Really? How?
Think about your free days, no alarm clock. What time do you usually go to sleep? What time do you naturally wake up? Find the midpoint between those times. That's your chronotype.
Interesting. So a night owl's midpoint would be way later than a lark's.
Exactly. And that's where the synchrony effect comes in. You want to align the task with the time that best suits your chronotype. Like, the study mentions night owls having more car accidents in the morning, even though night driving is statistically more dangerous overall.
Oh, wow.
Their alertness is out of sync with the demands of early morning driving. So understanding your chronotype isn't just a fun fact, it's about safety and effectiveness.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's about working with your natural rhythms.
Absolutely. And this leads us to the importance of breaks, especially when we hit that midday trough.
Oh man, the midday trough, we've all been there. But it's more than just feeling tired, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually pretty concerning. Studies show a spike in medical errors in hospitals during the afternoon. Sleep-related car accidents peak between 2 and 4 p.m. And even our ethical judgment can take a dip. They call it the morning morality effect.
Morning morality. So, like, we're more likely to make bad decisions in the afternoon.
It seems so. The midday trough is a real danger zone, but there are things we can do about it.
Okay, good. I was about to get really worried about my afternoon self, so what can we do?
Two key types of breaks: vigilance breaks and restorative breaks.
Vigilance breaks.
Yeah, short, deliberate pauses before high-stakes situations. You review instructions, double-check details. The University of Michigan Medical Center implemented pre-surgery timeouts and checklists.
So they basically hit pause before diving into surgery.
Right, and it made a huge difference. Dr. Trumper, the anesthesiologist who pushed for this, reported a clear improvement in care and fewer complications. And get this, the VA adopted a similar system and saw an 18% drop in surgical deaths after implementing these pre-procedure checks.
Wow, that's powerful. So vigilance breaks are like a safety net for critical tasks. What about just keeping us functioning well throughout the day?
That's where restorative breaks come in. Think recharging your mental and physical batteries. The ideal restorative break.
Tell me.
A short, peck-free walk outside with a friend, talking about something completely non-work related.
Sounds lovely, but not always possible.
Right. So here are 5 more practical options. Wiggle breaks, just stand up and move for 60 seconds. Moving breaks, short walk, some office yoga. Social breaks, coffee with a colleague, a chat by the water cooler.
I like those.
Then there are fully detached breaks. Step away, relax, daydream, no tech. And finally, mental gear shifting breaks. Things like meditation, controlled breathing, listening to something funny.
So it's about actively shifting your focus.
Exactly.
Okay, let's talk about a classic topic. Breakfast. Is it really the most important meal of the day?
Well, the research actually raises some interesting questions. Lots of studies link breakfast to benefits, but they often show correlation, not causation.
So maybe people who eat breakfast are already healthier in other ways.
Could be. More rigorous studies haven't consistently confirmed those benefits. One nutritionist even suggested that the belief in breakfast's importance might exceed the evidence. So if you like breakfast, great. But if not, don't stress.
So maybe lunch is the real MVP.
Maybe. And speaking in the middle of the day, what about that afternoon slump?
Naps. I love naps, but I always feel guilty, like I should be working.
Well, strategic napping can actually boost productivity. NASA studies found that pilots who napped up to 40 minutes had better reaction times and alertness. Air traffic controllers and Italian police officers saw similar benefits.
Okay, I'm sold. How do I nap like a pro?
Find your natural afternoon trough time, usually 7 hours after waking up. Consider a coffee nap, drink coffee before napping. Caffeine kicks in as you wake up. Make your nap spot dark, quiet, cool. Keep it short, 10-25 minutes, and be consistent if possible. Regular nappers get more sustained benefits.
All right, I'm adding strategic napping to my routine. Now let's talk about beginnings. There's something special about starting something new, right?
Absolutely. It's the fresh start effect. Temporal landmarks, Mondays, new months, birthdays, anniversaries create these new mental accounts. It's like a clean slate.
Ah, so that's why New Year's resolutions are so popular.
Exactly. But we don't have to wait for New Year's. We can consciously use these natural transition points throughout the year to kickstart new habits or goals. But it's also important to recognize that not all beginnings are created equal.
True. Like, starting your career during a recession can be tough.
The research calls it the scarring effect. Lower starting salaries can have lasting consequences. A lot of lifetime wage growth happens in those first 10 years of your career. So starting low can put you on a different path.
And it's not just the economic impact, right? Like, starting a new job can be challenging in itself.
Absolutely. There's the July effect in teaching hospitals. The annual influx of new medical residents who are fresh out of med school used to coincide with an increase in errors and even patient deaths.
Oh, wow. That's concerning.
Yeah. But hospitals have recognized this and implemented team-based approaches. New residents work closely with experienced nurses and doctors. Programs like the Nurse-Family Partnership support vulnerable new mothers from the start, By emphasizing collaboration and strong initial support, they've seen positive results.
So it's about providing structure and guidance during those crucial early stages.
Exactly. And when it comes to starting new projects, there's a technique called the premortem.
Premortem.
Yeah. You basically imagine the project has failed spectacularly. And then you ask, why did it fail? What were the potential pitfalls?
So it's like a preemptive strike against failure.
Exactly. By thinking about obstacles in advance, you can address them proactively.
Smart. Okay, we've talked about beginnings. What about when you're in the middle of something? A long project or even the middle stage of your career?
The midpoint. It's often where motivation takes a hit. We all know the midlife crisis. But there's also the U-shaped pattern of well-being. We often experience a dip in midlife as we grapple with our progress versus our aspirations. But then it often rebounds as we adjust expectations and find new fulfillment.
So that feeling of, is this all there is, might actually be normal.
It might be part of that U-shaped curve.
Yeah.
And the midpoint can be challenging for maintaining consistent standards. They use this example of lighting Hanukkah candles. People are most diligent on the first and last nights, but adherence dips a bit in the middle.
Interesting. So we front load and back load our efforts and the middle gets neglected.
Kinda, yeah. So how do we reignite that motivation during a midpoint slump?
Yeah, good question.
5 strategies.
Ah.
Break down big goals into smaller, more manageable ones. Harness the Zeigarnik effect by leaving tasks slightly incomplete. This creates a pull to finish them.
Oh, I do that all the time.
See? There's a name for it. Then there's the Seinfeld strategy. Commit to a small amount of work every day and track your progress. The chain of completed days becomes a motivator.
I like that. Visual progress is always encouraging.
Right. Another strategy. Practice mental subtraction. Imagine the absence of the good things in your work or life. This can increase appreciation and reignite drive. And finally, vividly picture one person who will benefit from your work. Connect your efforts to a tangible impact.
I love that. It's about finding that personal meaning.
Exactly. And speaking of midpoints, there's a framework for organizing projects that acknowledges these challenges.
Oh, yeah.
The form, storm, perform method. The initial phases are form and storm. The team comes together, there's initial enthusiasm, but then conflict as roles and working styles are negotiated. Then there's the midpoint phase where motivation can dip. And finally, the perform phase where the team is working effectively.
So it's about recognizing the midpoint as a distinct phase with its own challenges.
Exactly. And for those more personal midlife slumps, there are 5 approaches. Prioritize your top goals using the Buffett technique. Identify your top 5 goals and eliminate anything that doesn't support them. Foster mid-career mentoring programs. Reevaluate past failures with self-compassion. Reframe your personal narrative. And leverage the power of 9 enders, those final years of a decade.
Like being 29, 39, 49.
Exactly. People in those years often experience a shift in perspective and a sense of urgency.
That's interesting. So our age can actually influence our motivation.
It seems so.
Okay, we've talked about beginnings and midpoints. Let's move on to endings. They always feel significant, but in what ways?
Endings are powerful. They energize us. Think about the finish line effect, that surge of motivation as we approach completion. They encode memories through the peak end rule. We remember the most intense moment and how it ended. And there's duration neglect. We downplay the overall length in our memory.
So a short, amazing experience might be remembered better than a longer, mediocre one.
It's possible. Endings also prompt us to edit our social networks, letting go of less important connections. And they can elevate our perceptions. We prefer bad news first, good news last. Positive final moments can leave a lasting good impression.
That's fascinating. So a bad experience that ends well might be remembered more fondly than a good experience that ends badly.
Exactly. And we can use this to craft better endings. At the end of your workday, review accomplishments and plan for tomorrow. In meetings, summarize decisions and next steps. For projects, reflect on lessons learned and celebrate successes. And for career changes, think carefully about the timing of your departure.
So it's about being mindful of how we complete things.
Yes.
Okay, the final piece of the puzzle. Synchronization. How does timing play into working with others?
Group timing is crucial, from emergency medical teams to software engineers. 3 principles: a clear external standard, a strong sense of belonging, and the link between synchronization and well-being.
That sense of belonging seems key. How does it work?
It fosters synchrony through shared codes, jargon, protocols. Shared garb like uniforms reinforces identity. Even physical interactions like high fives can increase camaraderie and cooperation.
High fives matter.
They seem to. And to promote synchrony, Try singing together, rowing, dancing, yoga, playing music. There are also improv exercises. Zip, zap, zop, blind line, pass the clap, one-word story.
Improv for teamwork. I love it.
It's fun and effective. And to boost belonging, be responsive, reply to emails quickly, encourage sharing stories about struggles, nurture self-organized rituals, and try a jigsaw classroom approach where everyone's an expert on one piece and has to rely on each other.
So it's about fostering interdependence.
Exactly. But even with all this, there are challenges to perfect synchronization. Language itself is ambiguous. Misunderstandings happen.
Yeah, the human element.
Right.
Okay, let's wrap this up. We've learned a lot about timing. What are the key takeaways?
Our days have predictable rhythms. Breaks are essential. Beginnings set trajectories. Midpoints require renewed effort. And endings shape our experiences. We also need to synchronize with others.
So much good stuff. Now, for you listening, think about one area of your life where you can be more intentional about timing. Could you incorporate vigilance breaks? Are you taking enough restorative breaks? Is your schedule aligned with your chronotype? Could you craft a more positive ending to your workday? By understanding these hidden patterns, you can navigate your time more effectively and achieve your goals with greater insight.
Timing really is everything.
It is.
Or almost everything.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.
See you later.